you just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker. Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
In this bulletin, Prime Minister Vorenghe Bainimarama today handed over checks worth $5,000 each to 6 house fire victims. The Fiji Institute of Accountants is calling for a review of the penalty provisions in the proposed companies bill. And the Pacific Island Development Forum Secretariat launches an online consultation campaign on the PIDF agreement. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Prime Minister Vorenghe Bainimarama today handed over checks worth $5,000 each to 6 house fire victims. The handover ceremony is the first in a series for the emergency assistance, which is facilitated by the Ministry of Local Government, Housing and Environment. Watisoni Rakandroka reports.
A total of $30,000 was handed over to these Fijians who recently lost their homes to fires. Qualify for the grant, the homeowners must have a joint income of less than $50,000, have a lease for the land, and their homes uninsured at the time of fire.
To the recipients I say, these checks are to assist you in the task of rebuilding your homes and your lives. I sympathize with the trauma that you all have been through, and I hope that these payments help restore not only a roof over your heads, but enable you to some extent to put the trauma behind you.
For 3 of the grant recipients, this assistance will help them to rebuild not just their homes, but their lives as well.
This money will be very helpful to us in rebuilding our homes, and I'd like to thank the government of the day for assisting us in our difficult times. We've chosen the right government.
Well, I'm very happy to receive this check this morning, and especially for this government. I'm very happy. And I'm going to use this money to rebuild my house.
I feel proud and I feel great what the government has done today.
The government has allocated $1 million for emergency assistance in the 2015 budget for Fijians who have had their homes destroyed by fire. Watisoni Rekondroka, FBC News.
The Government Employees Federation and the trade unions have signed an agreement to use the Employment Relations Promulgation as the primary basis for labour management relations. The agreement was signed in Geneva by the Minister for Employment Chochi Konrote, Fiji Commerce and Employees Federation CEO Nesbitt Hazelman, and the Fiji Trade Union Congress General Secretary Felix Anthony. Fiji has been a focus of attention by the ILO governing body in past years due to allegations of breaches of ILO Convention 87. A commission of inquiry was recommended in the regard. However, after the signing, the ILO governing body deferred its decision to the next session in November. The ILO says it welcomes the signing of the agreement. The Fiji Institute of Accountants is calling for a review of the penalty provisions under the proposed companies bill, suggesting monetary fines instead of prison terms. This is part of the Institute's submission to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights today. Maggie Boyle has more.
In a detailed submission to the Parliamentary Standing Committee responsible for the proposed companies bill, the Fiji Institute of Accountants today articulated what they'd like changed. FIA President Renu Chand says there are a number of instances where the penalties do not fit the crime.
Penalty provisions under the companies bill are actually may not be serious, but yet the penalty provisions are very harsh. I mean, some of the penalties talk about imprisonment, penalties where the directors may not be actually involved in the preparation of the books or records, or if there is an accounting omission, they actually can be imprisoned for up to 1 year. There's also some penalties which are not serious, for example, the redemption of preference shares or the reduction in share capital, yet the penalty for that, the monetary penalty, is $120,000.
Chand says another area of concern is the financial reporting requirements.
Part 32 of the Companies Bill, which talked about the financial reporting provisions, and we were very strongly of the view that private companies should not have to lodge pro forma financial statements, annual reports or financial statements as defined under the bill, because they're private companies and for very obvious reasons. But what the interesting thing is that the bill says that, you know, you have to comply, so you have to file, and we're talking about small, medium and large private companies, but then it does also say that the registrar will not make these publicly available. So I think our concern is that why do we need to burden the Companies Office with further administrative responsibilities when these financial statements, annual reports or pro forma financial statements are not going to go anywhere but sit at the Register of Companies Office.
Adding that if reporting on private company financials gets the green light, perhaps an alternative could be considered. Other submissions were made by representatives of Asia Pacific Resources and Investment Fiji. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Pacific Island Development Forum Secretariat has launched an online consultation campaign about the PIDF agreement. As Eleanor Turangaiviu reports, the PIDF agreement is the document that will officially set up the PIDF grouping.
Leaders of nations that are members of the Pacific Islands Development Forum are looking to institutionalize the organization. And to do so, they are seeking views from across the Pacific about what should be included in the forum's establishing document, the PIDF agreement.
In our process, true to the inclusive and participatory vision of the PIDF, the views and opinions of the public, private, civil societies, academia and all sectors and stakeholders in our Pacific societies and communities are important and should be consulted in its development and formulation.
The online consultation can be accessed via the PIDF website www.pacificidf.org.
We're using a three-tier approach, so we are doing direct consultations and meetings with stakeholders in the region, but the online vehicle that we're using here is designed to be as accessible as possible. We would like everyone to be able to access it, and it's going to operate in a way that allows people to make written submissions, but also video submissions.
The submissions will help them put together the draft PIDF agreement.
We will also be running 2 workshops, one in April. This is where they will get the outcome of these online consultations. And then another one in June, where they will discuss the agreement, the draft agreement, which the consultant will be working between April and May and June to be able to put together for discussions.
By July, the agreement should be circulated to member countries for ratification. It is expected to be tabled before leaders at the 3rd PIDF Summit in August this year for their approval and adoption. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
Coming up after the break, National Security Strategy due to be completed in August.
FM number 2 na sir na honan din naman da kay Central Rental Support ka na gusto mo kita minichi me ba na koloko ni sabula
oya wa ti soni dalai
gonga mo sidon
na magikiraw me na tolu kina bitu ena via kabi moliti kina porombuka
goria na lali ne kabi Bula FM number 2 na sir
My name is Luca. I live on the 2nd floor.
Gold FM, only the classic hits. I hope you're having fun so far. You're listening to The Ride, and I'm Kara, taking you through your afternoon. Stay with me to listen to more awesome classics right here on The Ride. Bulabinaka, for awesome sounds in the afternoon. Wonderful, wonderful classics. Join me on The Ride every weekday right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits from 2 to 7.
Just don't ask me what it was. I think it's 'cause
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Fiji has made significant progress in addressing the needs of people with disabilities over the past years. President Rato-Epeli Nailatikau, speaking at the opening of the Fiji Disabled People's Federation annual general meeting, highlighted the importance of inclusive programs in all communities. Sakyusa Naivor reports.
Government will continue to support people with disabilities through various programs of support. This is according to the President Rato-Epeli Nailatikau. He adds this is also enshrined in international treaties such as the UN Convention on the Right of People with Disabilities, which Fiji is earmarked to ratify.
Fiji's modernization efforts have provided the environment for government and the people of Fiji to make a difference in the way the nation supports you and your respective families.
Ratu Nailatikau says over the 3 days workshop, the Federation is expected to put together strategies on how to engage with other stakeholders to address issues to better the lives of persons with disabilities. FDPF President Rakesh Chand says stigma continues to be a constant challenge.
We've heard from people from the rural areas. They are unable to move due to lack of accessibility, transportation facilities, public houses like the social welfare offices, like the medical centers. They are not accessible.
Chan says everyone deserves to be treated fairly and equally in society.
The FDPF is urging the public to appreciate the potential that persons with disability have and how actively they contribute to society and the economy. The workshop ends on Saturday. Sakyusa Naivor, FBC News.
The Defence Review Committee tasked to put in place a national security strategy has been given until August to finalise its report. Committee Chairman Esala Teleni says they are working through 4 phases in compiling the strategy. Savara Tamboa has more.
The first phase of the project is almost completed. This has involved the stakeholder consultations amongst religious organizations, private sector and government ministries. Committee Chairman Esala Teleni says the second phase is critical and will effectively prove the sustainability of the national security strategy.
This is the critical or important part of this development, trying to have a sound and effective and of course manageable security strategy. With all the challenges we are facing, with all the uncertainties, it will be a challenge for the committee to recommend to the government a strategy that will be able to respond to our security challenges, not only for today and tomorrow, but for a long term.
Teleni adds that input for the strategy has gone beyond Fiji's borders to ensure it's of an international standard.
We are indeed grateful for the support from the APCSS in Hawaii for running a 4-day workshop in early this month. It also helps the committee in drawing up what we can say. We were trying to do some environmental scanning, which is to identify the threats, identify the risks, and what can impact on our security.
The third phase will involve consultation amongst our disciplinary and defense forces as well as border control. Teleni adding public views will also be taken on board for consideration before the strategy is finalized. Sabera Tambua, FBC News.
Medical students from the University of Fiji will continue to get hands-on training at government health centres and hospitals following the renewal of a Memorandum of Understanding. The MOU provides access for the university's medical students to train at government facilities as part of their 6-year degree. Health Minister Chone Usumate says it is vital for young graduates to enter the field of medicine with a proper understanding of what goes on in a hospital or health centre.
We still need the continued influx of doctors and nurses. Government has already agreed to increase our establishment of doctors and nurses by 150 doctor positions every year from 2014 to 2017, I believe, and 200 nursing positions every year. That's just to keep the numbers so that we can reach our ratio.
The MOU is for 3 years. The Fiji Broadcasting Corporation is overwhelmed with the entries received in the new Fiji flag design competition. FBC's manager TV operations Vinal Raj says about 50 entries were received just 2 weeks into the launch of the flag design competition. Raj says entries came in from people from all walks of life, as well as former Fijians now residing abroad. Those who are interested in submitting their designs can email entries to figiflag@fbc.com.fj.
Basically, the designs include the different elements that the people think should be included. They're looking at all the traditional Fijian artifacts for the design ideas that should be incorporated in the flag. They're looking at things that are of significance here in Fiji, especially the landmark and the rest of it.
All the flag designs will be showcased on FBC TV and FBC social media pages after the 1st of May. The design, which will receive the highest number of votes, will be given to the Prime Minister's office for consideration. Fiji needs more historians. This was one of the many lessons that was clear as scholars, historians and students deliberated last night during a World War I Ratusukuna lecture series held at the University of the South Pacific. The event was organized by the School of Social Sciences and the French Embassy to commemorate 100 years since World War I. Ellen Stolz has more.
One of the organizers of the event was local academic and playwright Larry Thomas, who says these types of gatherings are crucial for our young people, for them to remember Fiji's history and the bravery of our people.
Right now in this country, we just don't have enough people doing history and these other disciplines, and I think the importance is probably in the system, in our education system, to encourage more young people to take up these disciplines, because we'll need people to write and record them and make commentaries on them, and we just don't have that. And that's what Robert meant by amnesia, because our young people know so little of our own history.
Amongst the speakers last night was the statesman's nephew, Ratuchoni Manraiwiwi, who delivered a lengthy speech, but one that painted a picture of a humble man who never failed to consult the people and had his country close to his heart.
His style of leadership and the values he lived by still resonate today. Notwithstanding his high chiefly status and rank, it is the manner in which he held office for so long during the colonial era. He treated all manner of folk with respect and courtesy. He never benefited from public office and died without much to his name.
The life of Ratu Sir Lalasukuna, a famous Fijian chief, scholar, soldier and statesman, was also recognized by the French government in his participation in the French Legion.
Ratusukuna's movement and administrative situation were recounted in the Journaux de Marche, that is the war diaries of his regiments, and in other official documents from the French and British administration.
Ratusukuna died on May 30th, 1958, en route to England. He was known as the son of Fiji, but soldier of France. Ellen Stolz, FBC News.
Sports now, here's Jamie.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. In sports, after the break, an update from the Fiji Sevens side in Hong Kong, and hundreds farewell the late Yosefo Tambalala. This and more coming up.
Gold FM, only the classic hits. Beautiful song from the group Firehouse and When I Look Into Your Eyes. Before that, you heard from Smokey Robinson with One Heartbeat. We'll take a short break and join us in the next hour for more music from Seal. Bulablaga. I'm DJ Tora. Join me every weekdays, 7 until midnight on the Premium Classics. Right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits.
छू 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 हे हे नमस्ते फीजी, आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू। छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है। मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे। मिर्ची इट्स हॉट।
Vodafone Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan says he is aware of the added pressure that comes with the Hong Kong tournament. He says as the team prepares to launch its assault for the title tomorrow, the people of Fiji are the most passionate when it comes to sevens rugby. Ryan adds there are similarities and differences between his home nation of England and Fiji when it comes to sevens rugby.
It's different and the same in the same breath, I guess. It's same as far as huge support in the stadium for both England and Fiji. It's different in as much as back home in England, unless you're a big rugby fan, you don't really know perhaps as the Hong Kong's on. In Fiji, the entire population know Hong Kong's on, and they've been building up to it for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, and the country will grind to a standstill. So that's the biggest difference, I suppose, that everybody back home will be glued to TVs all weekend.
Hundreds of people turned up at the Laudala Parish in Suva to farewell Telecom Fiji Warriors prop, the late Yosefo Mbele Tambalala. The 32-year-old died in his sleep from heart failure last Saturday at the team hotel, just 2 days before the team was to take the field for the World Rugby Pacific Challenge final. The funeral was attended by close family and friends and a delegation from the Fiji Rugby Union, as well as Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama. Tambalala's Warriors team mates acted as pallbearers all the way to his final resting place at the Nasinu Cemetery. Tambalala is survived by his parents and a brother. Athletics Fiji head Joseph Roden Sr. was elected the new president of Fasanok at the annual general meeting last night. Roden is determined to hit the ground running with all member sporting federations preparing for the Pacific Games in July. Chalendao Dakadaka reports.
Joe Roden Sr. is honored to be elected as Fasanok president. The two-time Olympian is determined to use his business acumen to propel Fiji's campaign at the upcoming Pacific Games in Papua New Guinea.
The direction that Fasanok is taking, they're out there to try and increase their income stream. And they're looking at sponsorship, looking at new business, looking at marketing. And for me, that's where my expertise is. And I think they think that I have the right caliber and the right qualification to help Fasanok in improving their business.
Athletics Fiji has been growing in leaps and bounds since Roden took on the president's position 9 months ago, and he wants to do a similar feat with Fasanok.
In any sports or in any organization, your supporters or the people that follow you want winners, right? If you are winning, then automatically you will get sponsorship, you will get more funding into your association because you are winning. If you are not winning, then the chances are you will tend to lose the people that are supporting you.
Roden was one of 3 new executive members voted in by the National Sporting Federations at the AGM at Olympic House in Suva. Chalendao Dakadaka, FBC Sports.
Bar Methodist High School today carried the torch in the Coca-Cola Games relay for the first time, despite years of participating in the tournament. Students glimpsed the torch of the most anticipated athletics competition in the country before they made their way to the Bar Secondary School's zone meet. School Principal Sanaila Sumo says they are overwhelmed to be part of the torch relay as they are also gearing up for the Fiji finals.
There are around 65 athletes who will be represented in the zone athletics meet. And we are doing our very best, and hopefully we will be represented by about 20 athletes who will probably make their way to Suva if they perform well.
The torch relay continues to the rest of the Western secondary schools tomorrow. That is your sports for tonight. Good evening.
The Reserve Bank of Fiji board at its monthly meeting has agreed to maintain the overnight policy rate at 0.5%. Governor Barry Whiteside says economic activity has been robust, driven by strong business confidence and accommodative monetary and fiscal policies. Whiteside says this has resulted in buoyant credit growth and higher consumption and investment activity. He says given that Fiji is a growing open economy, imports have also continued to outpace exports and that this trend is expected to persist in 2015. Foreign reserves were around $1.7 billion. Inflation was 2.1% in February and it's expected to remain stable throughout this year. Fine weather was experienced over most parts of the country today. Temperatures today were in the low 30s with 32 degrees in the high of day. Felt in Nandi, Ba and Lambasa, the low of 30s was recorded in Savu-Savu. Tomorrow expect cloudy and fine periods in the AM with showers across the country in the PM. Further outlook, brief showers about the eastern part and interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, isolated afternoon or evening showers. Southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate rough seas, moderate southerly swells. And recapping our headlines. Prime Minister Vorenghe Bainimarama today handed over checks worth $5,000 each to 6 house fire victims. The Fiji Institute of Accountants is calling for a review of the penalty provisions in the proposed company's bill, and the Pacific Island Development Forum Secretariat launches an online consultation campaign on the PIDF agreement. To our poll segment this week, we're asking, can Fiji win the Hong Kong Sevens with the current lineup? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. And that's our bulletin today. Join the team and I again tomorrow at the same time. Till then, ni modamanda.
मेरा चांद मुझे आया है नजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। छाया है नशा मेरे आंखों पर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। रह जाए ना प्यासा मेरा प्यार, मेरे बाहों में भर दे मेरा यार, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। है दोस्तों, मैं हूं जितेन शांडिल। आप रात के बाद हमारे साथ अब रफ्तार प्रोग्राम में 3 से लेकर रात 7 के बीच शामिल हो सकते हैं। मिर्ची FM, इट्स हॉट।